Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to really unpack complex stuff, get you the key insights.
It makes sense of the noise.
Exactly. And today, we've got a really interesting source. It's excerpts from a Guardian article, July 1st, 2025.
Right.
The title is Trump's Big Beautiful Bill, A Political Divide.
Quite a title.
It is. So our mission really is to figure out, okay, what's behind this big, beautiful language from, the people pushing it.
And why that political divide part is baked right in.
Yeah, involving Republicans, Democrats, and even this thing called a votorama. It's like the whole story is pre-written.
Pretty much.
Okay, let's unpack this big, beautiful bill. I mean, wow, that's loaded language, right? It sounds less like legislation, more like marketing.
It absolutely is. It's strategic. These aren't just random adjectives.
So what's the goal there, really, beyond just sounding positive?
Well, when you label something big or beautiful, you're trying to anchor the public's perception,
Anchor it how?
You frame it positively before anyone digs into the details or before the inevitable opposition gets loud. It's a classic tactic, really. It tries to get people on board emotionally, making it harder for opponents to attack it without sounding, negative or like they're against something inherently good.
Right, like you're against beauty itself.
Precisely. It sets the terms of the debate.
Okay, that makes sense. But then right in the same breath, the title hits you with a political divide.
Yeah, it doesn't hide it.
It's almost jarring. Like,
Well-
here's this wonderful thing, and also everyone's going to fight about it. What does that tell us, putting the conflict front and center like that?
Well, I think it signals a certain reality, especially in U.S. politics with Republicans and Democrats,
The reality being.
that any significant piece of legislation, especially one branded so forcefully by one side, is almost certainly going to trigger a major clash. It's preordained, almost.
So the divide isn't a surprise outcome.
Not at all. Framing it this way acknowledges that upfront. It tells you this bill likely touches on deep ideological differences or, core priorities that the parties just don't agree on. The conflict is baked in.
It's part of the baggage deal.
Exactly. It highlights that unavoidable clash that's going to define its whole journey through Congress.
And speaking of that journey, that often leads to things like a votorama, which the source's URL actually hints at. We hear that term thrown around.
Yeah, it sounds chaotic.
It does. So what is a votorama, really, when a bill gets this heated? What's actually happening there?
That's a good question because it's quite a specific and intense part of the legislative process.
Okay.
A votorama is basically a parliamentary procedure, often happens with budget bills or reconciliation. It's like a marathon session.
Marathon.
Yeah, where lawmakers, usually the minority party, can force votes on a ton of amendments, like one after another, often for hours, sometimes all night.
Wow. But is it about making the bill better?
Sometimes maybe, but honestly, it's often more about political maneuvering.
How so?
It's used to put members on the record on tough votes, maybe expose divisions in the other party, or just, frankly, wear the opposition down. It's a procedural battleground.
So less about policy refinement, more about political fighting.
It really underscores how deeply contested a bill like this big, beautiful one can be. It shows the lengths parties will go to shape it, block it, or just score political points, last-ditch efforts.
Okay, so we've got the flashy branding, the built-in expectation of a fight, and these intense procedural battles like the votorama.
Right.
Putting it all together, what's the key takeaway for you, the listener, when you're seeing these kinds of headlines pop up?
I think the main thing is to understand that the way a bill is presented, the framing, like calling it big or beautiful, is itself a political act. It's deliberate.
So look past the label.
Exactly, and recognize that the political divide isn't just news, it's often a predictable consequence, almost part of the plan. Knowing that helps you cut through some of the noise.
Develop some critical thinking about it.
Yeah, it pushes you to ask, okay, what's the real agenda here? What are the actual points of conflict beneath the surface? Don't just react to the label.
That makes sense. So we've touched on the power of these descriptive titles, the almost inevitable political divides between Republicans and Democrats, and how things like a votorama are symptoms of that deep division.
We have. It shows how complex the journey of legislation really is. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. How can you personally train yourself to look beyond that shiny, big, beautiful wrapping paper on a proposal? How do you actively seek out the specific sticking points, the real arguments, and understand the political forces shaping its path rather than just accepting the initial spin?
Become a bit of a headline detective, maybe.
That's a great way to put it.
All right, a challenge for all of us then.
Mm-hmm.
Stay curious out there and keep doing your own deep dives.